Greetings everyone. So we are very, very close to the start of Halloween Horror Nights. It is right around the corner and I'm very excited because this is one of my favorite events here at Universal Orlando. I look forward to this event every year. I'm gonna get my Halloween Horror Nights fix a little early this year. I'm doing something I've never done before, and that is I'm going to be taking one of the lights on tours of the haunted houses. So yes, I'm going to get to go inside some of the haunted houses for this year's event, get to walk through the different scenes, see all the different set pieces and props and all the details that the Universal creative team had put into these houses to bring them to life. I'm very, very excited about that. And what makes me even more excited is that I'm taking you along with me. So I'm spending the afternoon here at Universal Studios Florida to do one of the lights on tours. This one's actually called the Unmasking the Horror tour. And basically it's a guided tour where they take you through some of the haunted houses. You get to learn the backstory of these houses. You get to see different scenes in the houses as you walk through, see all the props and set pieces, and get to spot some details, a lot of the little details that the Universal team has put in these houses, see the creativity that it takes to bring these houses to life. The tour I'm doing today is the 3-house tour. They have a 6-house tour, but the one I'm doing is a 3-house tour. And the 3 houses that I'm going to be going through today are Hatchet and Chains, Demon Hunters, Dolls Let's Play Dead, and Grave of Flesh. So these are all 3 original houses. These are original concepts that the Universal team has come up with. These are not the IP houses, although they do have some IP houses as part of the 6-house tour. A couple of things. I won't be able to take video when I'm going through the houses. That's just one of the rules of the tour, but I will be able to take pictures. So I'm gonna take as many pictures as I possibly can, and I'll be sprinkling them throughout the video. With that being said, that means there will be spoilers. So if you don't want to know anything about the houses, you don't want to see any of the details or any of the scenes or the set pieces, this is not the video for you. If you do want to know about the backstory and see all the little details, maybe even spot some Easter eggs and things like that, this is definitely the video for you, and you should definitely keep watching. I'm very excited. Like I said, I've never gotten to do a lights on tour before. I have seen some of the houses with the lights on in the past. In my previous job, we were able to go through some of the houses before the event and see them with the lights on, but it wasn't like a guided tour or anything. It was mostly like, we're just gonna be in this house with the lights on because we're getting ready to do a live broadcast from this house. So I'm excited to experience these houses in a different way. So let me go get all checked in and then we'll get this tour started. So the first house on the tour was Hatchet and Chains, Demon Bounty Hunters. This is one of 5 original houses this year. Hatchet and Chains actually started out as one of the rooms in the Slaughter Cinema 2 house from last year, but now it's a full-blown house. This house is located in one of the tents in the back of the park. It's set in a small western town, and the story is that a woman named Granny Haggerty is unhappy about all the progress happening in town with the arrival of the railroad. So to put a stop to it, she decides to do what most people would do in this situation, and that is summon demons. And not just any old demons. These are lava demons that come up through the well that you see right here in the front of the house. Now you'll actually get to encounter Granny Haggerty, who has caused all of this chaos. She'll be outside on the porch sitting in the rocking chair. Now in this picture there's a trigger in front of the rocking chair that this character can press to trigger a special effect. Our tour guide didn't tell us what that special effect was, but just said it's going to be really, really cool. Now as you make your way through the house, you'll be following Hatchet and Chains, who are trying to save the town. Hatchet is actually a demon, but he has, changed his ways, reformed, if you will, and he's now taking out his fellow demons. Chains is a human who uses supernatural chains to bind the demons. And through the house, you'll see tons of hatchets and chains, and these are all signs that the characters have been in those particular spaces. First room you'll go through is the post office, and it has some cool Easter eggs. On the counter is a piece of paper for all the mail that's been received, and the names under the senders column are all members of the Halloween Horror Nights team that worked on the house. Then the names under the received column are names of characters and icons from previous houses. So you have J. Schmidt for Jack Schmidt, or Jack the Clown. You have Dr. Oddfellow. You have C. Carver, and Carver is a character who owned the pumpkin patch in Pumpkin Guts, which was one of the B movies in the first Slaughter Cinema House. This scene is also where we get a glimpse of one of the demons. Now this one is lurking in the fireplace, and this demon will actually glow because the team covered it in UV reactive paint. On the other side of the fireplace is a room with a few pictures on the wall. One of the pictures is of Thunder the Pomeranian, whose picture has actually appeared in past houses and became somewhat of a fan favorite that fans would always look for this picture of this Pomeranian in these different houses. Well, if you're a fan of Thunder, you can find Thunder in the Hatchet and Chains house. I should probably mention that this house has a lot of bodies, a lot of bloody bodies of people and also of animals like horses. So if you're a little sensitive to that, just know going in that you're going to be seeing a lot of this carnage in the different rooms. So this body right here is of one of the townspeople whose mouth has been ripped open, and that opening will actually be used by the characters who will stick their arms in there to be able to reach out and scare people as they're passing by. There were a few sections of the house where photos were not allowed. The next room that we went through was one of them, so I can't show you anything from inside of it, but I can share a couple of details. In this room, there were a bunch of bodies hanging from the gallows. One of the bodies is referred to as a twitcher, and that's basically where Universal takes, an inanimate object or some kind of static object like a mannequin, and they use some special effects to make it move. So when you're going through this particular room, you will see one of these bodies move. Now the next room we were allowed to take pictures in, and this one had a few bodies and some coffins. Each of the bodies had a large coin covering their eyes. Now this was something they did back in the day to people when they died, and they used the coins to weigh down the eyelids so that the eyes would stay closed during wakes. Also, one of the coffins in this room will be using special effects. There's a large coffin in the corner with a large metal chain wrapped around it. It will shake, and as it's shaking, the chains will bang against it to make a loud sound. One fun detail I learned when going through this house was that every year the Universal team hides a small creature inside of each of the houses. Now, last year's creature was a snail. This year's creature is a lizard, and they've hidden that lizard pretty well in different scenes in the houses. I wasn't able to get a picture of it in this house because this was a no photo area, but just know it's very, very tiny. Now, Universal is known for using different types of effects in these houses, including water spray effects, air blasts, floor effects. As you make your way past the cemetery, as you head toward the school, you'll notice that the floor has changed. The floor under you will light up, and that's to show the path that the demon is taking as it tunnels underground. Now, to create this effect, the team built a false floor on top of the main floor so they could hide lights underneath it. In this room, you'll see signs of a shootout, so there are a bunch of bullet holes in the wall. The team used some air effects that will make it seem like the bullets are whizzing past you. Earlier, I mentioned that the idea for this house first appeared in Slaughter Cinema 2. If you went through that house, this wall with the photographs on it will look kind of familiar to you. That's just because it was copied from last year's house. Now, the demons are trying to escape on the train, so we'll actually get to see the train speed past one of the windows, and that's thanks to the projection effects that the team is using in this house. Before you exit the house, you'll actually make your way through a cattle chute, so it's kind of like this really tight space, and you'll encounter Chains, who is going to try to use a bunch of TNT to derail the train. I really liked the design of this house. They used the space really well here, and it looked and felt bigger than it actually was. So I actually can't wait to experience this house once everything is up and running. This was a really cool concept, and I like that they were able to take an idea from one of the previous houses and expand it. The next stop on the tour was Doll's Let's Play Dead. Now, this house is also located in one of the tents in the back of the park. This is the entrance facade to the house, which looks like a little doll house. Now, the story behind this house is that you're entering the home of Lila, a little girl who loves to torture her toys. And as you go through the house, you're going to see just how rough she plays with her toys. And that's bad news for us because we actually become toys when we enter the house. And that's just one of the first things you'll notice is that everything inside is scaled up because you're supposed to be the size of a toy. The first room here is filled with large objects, large crayons, big stuffed teddy bear, and from here we enter Lila's dollhouse. Now if you look up, above the door is the number 34. This is a reference to this year's Halloween Horror Nights, which is now in its 34th year. This house also has a few GATs, which is Universal speak for guest activated triggers. These are buttons that guests can push to trigger different effects in the house. And the first one is right here by the door to the dollhouse. The next room is filled with dolls that Lila has mutilated. Some of them have their hair chopped off. Some of them have their eyes poked out. Some of them have needles and pins through their bodies. Lila has taken some of the arms and legs off the dolls and attached them to other toys. In the next room, you'll find some more mutilated toys and another guest activated trigger. This one is on a razor that Lila has used to shave the hair off of her dolls. And there's a red button on the side that guests can push to, again, trigger a special effect. A fun Easter egg to look out for in this house are the batteries that's used to power the toys. They're actually by a company known as BuzzCon. Now, a few years ago, there was a house called Bugs Eaten Alive, and it featured BuzzCon. This was a company that had created a pesticide that didn't actually kill the bugs. It only caused them to mutate and become bigger. But yeah, they're behind the batteries here, so it's a nice little nod to that previous house. Now this next room has a bunch of dolls all around the walls that are wrapped up in a bunch of yarn. And in the center, Lila has made a spider out of yarn and stuck a bunch of pins in its head. And this spider is dangling over a doll bed that also features a really cool Easter egg. There's a cartoon version of Jack the Clown on the bed sheets of the doll bed. Now in this room, you'll see that Lila has started using a different method to torture her toys. She's actually started to burn them. So the dolls in here look like the plastic has been melted off of them. We also went through a room that looked like one of those electric toy ovens. It was very dark in here. And in one section, there was a very small, narrow kind of passageway. Definitely not a spot you want to be in if you are claustrophobic. Earlier, I mentioned that the Halloween Horror Nights team is hiding a lizard in each of the houses this year. There's one here in Dolls Let's Play Dead. It's kind of hard to see, especially in this picture, just because the light is actually shining on it, but this is where you would find it. Also, the toy box in this room has a couple of cool little Easter eggs. The toy is actually from series 34. 34, again, a nod to Halloween Horror Nights 34. And then the text on the bottom of the box is actually the Halloween Horror Nights disclaimer. The next room takes us under Lila's bed, and let's just say there's some pretty creepy stuff in here. You'll find some more mutilated toys, but what's also interesting about this room is that there's a rubber floor. Now, if you come across one of these in a Halloween Horror Nights house, it's usually because there's some kind of water effect in that room. I'm not going to say exactly what the effect is here, but I will say that the water will be dripping from Lila's bed. Now, the rest of the house has more tortured toys and some other cool effects. Also, before you exit, make sure you look up. I was actually very surprised by this house. It beat my expectations. I liked how the concept kind of came together here and that it was more than just, creepy dolls. So this was a cool house with some fun things to look out for. The last stop on the tour was Grave of Flesh, and this house is actually in one of the sound stages, so the team had a lot of space to work with here. The concept behind this house is what happens when you die, and Universal's answer is basically eternal torment. So as you go through the house, you'll go through different places underground that are dark. Some have creatures trying to feast on your flesh. Some are very tight, winding spaces that make you feel claustrophobic. But as you're going deeper and deeper into the house, you're going deeper and deeper into the afterlife. You start at the Hellmouth Cemetery, which sounds a lot like Hellmouth. And this is the site of your funeral because as you enter the house, you are dead. Once you pass the entrance, make sure you look up. You'll be able to see your gravesite from inside the grave. There's a tombstone there, and there's also a tent covering it because it's a rainy day. You'll also notice that there's rubber flooring in the room since there will be water effects here to simulate the rain. There's also going to be a smell effect in this first part of the house. Now, there were some sections in this house that we were not allowed to take pictures in, but basically from here on out, you're going deeper and deeper underground, and this is where we start to encounter those creatures that like to eat flesh. According to our tour guide, the team used star-nosed moles as inspiration for these creatures. Now this room has cave-like formations with cocoon-like structures, and apparently one of the creatures will be jumping out of one of these cocoon-like pods. You'll also find skulls of the dead people whose flesh has been eaten by these creatures, and they've embedded those skulls into the walls. They also have a body grinder in here, and apparently there's a turntable on there, so when it's turned on, the bodies will be moving on the turntable. There was also a section of the house that was pretty much pitch black, and inside they had what looked like rods of flesh hanging from the ceiling. This is what Universal refers to as SIF, or stuff in face. So you'll feel this on your face as you're going through the house, but you might not see it because it's pretty dark in there. Towards the end of the house was a really large abstract type room, definitely inspired by MC Escher. And there were all these different staircases that crisscross in different directions, and it also had blood flowing up and also blood flowing down. This room was filled with bodies that were wrapped up in this turquoise colored fabric, and the whole idea behind this particular room was suffocation. And so there will be performers in here on the platform. They will also be wrapped up in this fabric, and there will also be these air effects in here to make the sheets around the room move. Another thing about this house, because of the construction going on around the park, Universal has had to make adjustments to some of the entrances and queues for the houses. So the queue for Grave of Flesh will actually be inside on the other side of the soundstage. So you'll be able to wait inside instead of outside in the heat. Now, when I first heard the concept for this house, I wasn't really excited about it, but now that I've gone through it, I actually liked the design. I'm actually looking forward to seeing this one during Halloween Horror Nights, just to see how all the elements come together when the lights are off and all the effects are working. So that's it for the Unmasking the Horror tour. That was a lot of fun. It really was. Just be able to walk through some of the houses, to see all the little different details and things, and really take in all the, work that the Universal team has put into creating these houses. Learning the backstory, and again, all the little Easter eggs and details that you normally wouldn't get to see. So that was really cool and a lot of fun. Another thing I liked about this tour is because I got to go inside some of the houses and see all the little details, it made me appreciate some of these houses a little bit more. I had already made my hype list of the houses that I was most anticipating, most excited to see. And Dolls Let's Play Dead and Grave of Flesh were not very high up on my list. Now, their position on my list hasn't necessarily changed, but I am more excited about them than I was before, just because I got to see the work that was put into it, all the little details, and it was really cool. So let me know which houses you're most excited to experience, or even which houses from the tour that you liked the most. I'm always curious about which houses people are excited for and why. If you did enjoy this video, please like this video, just give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that. Also, please subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate that as well. Thanks for joining me, everyone. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.